All right. So this is the domain and range question, okay? And as we're looking at the graph, we're trying to see where it goes to, where it stops, and different things like that. So as I'm looking at the graph, notice that those are solid dots at the end where that graph is ending. There's no arrows at the end of it. So it's got a place at which it stops. And so what I can do is straight down there, I know that area is restricting my graph. Okay? Next, you notice that the graph has a maximum, minimums, has a local maximum, local minimum, and you'll see those. So technically I could draw this straight across right there and right there, and we can agree that my graph exists inside of that box. Do you agree with that? My graph is housed inside of that box.
Right.
Huh?
Right.
So, in there, let's see what numbers block that in. Okay, see what numbers block that in. So, let's look at it from the x values first. So here are my x values. Okay, where does it go to and stop? Where does, on the x line, on the x-axis, where does it go to and stop?
Negative 5 and 4.
Right, so my x value is at -5, and it goes all the way to 4, right here. Okay? And that would be the domain. Do you agree with that? Because x is the domain. So tell me how we would write that. How would we write the domain in representation of that? We talked about several ways. We did one with interval notation, right? So does this graph include those numbers? Is -5 got a value? I'm sorry, does -5 have a value for y? So it does include -5. And does 4 have a value? It does, so it includes 4. So that would be interval notation. So how would I take this and write it in non-interval notation? Still goes -5. Does it include -5? It does. So that's going to be that the x is greater than or equal to, because -4 is greater than -5, right? So we're going up the number line. That's my x. And then this one would be +4. So that's another way to write it. Now, does that answer show up?
Yeah.
It does. However, why is that not the answer? Because the question asked for the range. Okay, so we don't look at that box. We're going to look at this box. So what's the lowest y it came to?
3 or
-3. What's the highest y it went to?
3.
+3. Okay? And range is associated with y. So this would equal, or this one right here would equal the range. And so if I have from -3 to +3, if I was putting it in interval notation, it does include -3 to +3. How would I write it the other way? -3 is less than or equal to y, which is greater than or equal to +3. Correct? And so which one of those? Does that show up? So what's the difference between, you said D? What is the difference between C and D?
It's in D, those are equal to.
In D, it says it doesn't include -3, and it does. So it's C.